So what we've decided to do with these chairs, if you haven't watched our midweek episode, you need to watch that. Featured these chairs. We've got 8 of these, but I've picked out 5 because I'm gonna clean them up now and give them a good scrub and everything. Bring them back up, get the old leather conditioner on, and then we're actually going to put them in around our dining table in our kitchen. At the moment, the way the setup is, there's only room for probably 5, and the other 3 need an element of repair doing to them. So I'm going to utilise these 5 now, and then over the next few weeks repair the other 3. And the dining table, when it's extended and when our kitchen's properly done, will easily fit all 8 of these chairs around. And I think they'll look lovely in there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Give them a quick scrub, bring up the leather, put some furniture wax on, and they're going in the kitchen. I am so pleased with these. They have come up absolutely gorgeous. Look at these. And that green leather, loving it. And you know, I don't know how long these have been in the barn. We know that the house was subject to an inheritance in 1984, and the vendor that sold it to us never lived in the house since 1984. It was used as a holiday home. So it's very possible these have been in the barn all that time, and they are in remarkably good condition. And the leather, you know, the conditioner that I've put on it, it's a leather conditioner. It's really taken to it, you know, because sometimes these things are really dry, and I'm expecting to do another coat on them at some point in the next week or so, just to make sure. But no, it's accepted that really nicely. It's not sunk in yet, and very good condition. There's a little bit of repair work to be done on all of these, and rather bizarrely, this one here is longer than the rest for some reason. It doesn't matter. Character shows they're handmade. But yeah, Susie's just had a look. We are really pleased, and they are going in our kitchen. And I've just got to clear the other chairs out and whatever, and that's what I'll do in a moment. But so pleased with those. Just found in the barn, dusty, cobwebs, just gorgeous. I'm in the walled garden, and I thought I'd just give you a little update on all the ivy that's around the perimeter. I've just started the process of getting rid of it. About 3 weeks ago I cut all these roots on this one, and you can see it's dying off. Obviously at the step there it's coming back. I did dig down, but you know, you're never going to get rid of it. It's always going to come back, but at least whilst it's on ground level you can control it. So that I can take off now because that's all dead. Then along this wall you can see a lot of the ivy's gone brown where I've cut the roots off, and the bits that are still green, I had another look and I left a couple of roots there, so I've cut those off, so they'll start dying back. But again, this wall now ready to strip off and then repoint really, but I'll worry about that another time. The big concern is along this wall, because as you can see I've cut all these off from the ground, and to be quite honest I only found a couple of roots going up from this side, and yet it's not really dying off. There's a few bits that have died off, so it means one of two things. It's either growing inside the wall or it's growing from the other side, from the road, but I don't remember seeing any roots down on the ground outside, so that is a bit of a worry. And whether that large crack there is any indication of a problem, I'm not sure, so it needs investigating outside. And then further up the same wall, this is the longest stretch of ivy, and I've gone around and severed all the roots I could find here. However, most of that's still growing, so I think I've got a similar problem. It's either growing through the wall or from the roadside, so I need to get out onto the road and have a proper look, but I'm not going to be able to get to that today, but that's a job that I certainly need doing. And whilst we're in the walled garden, I'll just show you the side of the bread oven here. You may remember in an episode, quite a few episodes ago, I started clearing this area and I discovered this vine. Obviously some of the stuff's coming back around it now and growing, but I thought, well, I'll hopefully, once I've cleared and allowed this vine to breathe, it might come back to life, but sadly there's no sign of life on it. But I'm not in a hurry to remove it. I might as well leave it there, and you never know, might get a bit of life, might not, but when I'm ready to remove it, that's when I'll finally give up on it. You never know, might come back. And then this is the other vine that we have, which is well established, and we gave it a real hard prune last year. It was actually buried amongst ivy and brambles and all sorts, so we gave it a really hard prune, and this year it's looking good. It's getting a little bit untidy, so it needs a trim. There's not that many grapes on, certainly not compared to last year, but that's not surprising. But there are grapes on there, so we won't get a decent crop this year, but that's okay. It was really smothered, so we've kind of saved this one as well. So I'll get out here at some point and give it a trim. And there's the grapes. Not many, but they're there. Well, today Suzie and I are visiting the beautiful Chateau and since 1993 it's been home to a contemporary art gallery. And if we're honest, contemporary art's not really our thing, but the chateau itself is beautiful enough, and it's only 15 minutes away, so it's well worth a visit to us. I believe the chateau is 17th century, but don't quote me on that. But it's a beautiful building, and the grounds are gorgeous. I mean, look at these trees, magnificent. I wonder how old these trees are. Beautiful. I wonder if our lavender bed will look like this one day. Lovely colour. Okay, well I've come to the lane outside. The walled garden is the other side there. I want to investigate why this thing's not dying. So I'm assuming it's growing from this side. So I need to trim as much of this back as I can. And hopefully get to the root of the problem. Well, that didn't take long just to trim that bottom bit, and I think this is probably the main problem. These roots here, here and over there, they're the big roots, and when I look up, the highest part of it is there, so I think that's the biggest issue. Sorry about my shadow in this, but the sun's coming up. I'm out here very early because it's already getting very hot, and it's going to get up to about 30 degrees today. So there's some more roots here, big ones. So I'm quite happy that I've solved the problem. Oh, there's one in there. No, I've cut that, that's okay. So I'm happy that I've stopped the rot, if you like. And what I'll do is I'll keep my eye on that over the next few days, because hopefully that will start to die off, and what doesn't die I'll be able to take a closer look. And of course then what I'll do is I'll remove it all from the wall very carefully, because I don't want to start pulling stones out. I mean, if you look at this wall here, yeah, there's a lot of pointing's going to need doing here. Look at all this. Here's some evidence of some old roots here which they've obviously dealt with at some point. You know, look at all this pointing's missing here. You know, so I need to first of all stop the rot. There you go, loose stone. Right, I've come down to the corner now, and this is the one that I'm more concerned about. There's obviously been something here in the past on this corner, because this is all concrete. So whether it's collapsed before, I don't know. But I'm more concerned about this one because I can't see any evidence of any roots on the other side, but there's certainly nothing growing from the ground up. So somewhere amongst all this, I think it's growing through the wall from the walled garden. So I'm going to have to start trimming this off and see if I can find something coming through the wall. The biggest worry for me is that it's actually growing up through the wall. Well, it didn't take me long to find literally the root of the problem. That is one hell of a root coming right through from the other side, and it's all up here. This is seriously big. I'm gonna have to be very careful. Just take it off inch by inch and then get my saw and chop that there. But what I'm gonna have to do is dig the other side, see if I can cut it off the other side. But you know, just to give you an idea, that's probably good couple of feet, 2 or 3 feet below ground level, this root. This is about a 12-foot high wall, and the ground level the other side is about 6 foot from the top of the wall. So I suspect that's a good 2 or 3 feet below the wall. I've done as much as I can, so I need to get my reciprocating saw. Yeah, I'll be relieved when that's done. Okay, well I've done all that I can do now, and right there I've severed that, so this is where it's coming out of the wall, hopefully, and I've also severed it just here and actually just there as well. So this big lump should now be dead or dying, but I'm not going to pull at it too hard because I'm a bit worried it might bring a few stones out, so I'm going to let it dry and just die off really, and then hopefully the rest of this over the next 2 or 3 weeks will start browning up, and anything that's left I can investigate further, and then once it's once I know it's all dying, I'll start pulling it off the wall very slowly but surely. But you can see here a lot of cement in there. So there's obviously been problems here. There's remnants of an old bit of root there. So got to keep on top of this wall. Can't afford to let it collapse. Always satisfying doing a job like that. And the little walk home. Right opposite our gate. Hello. Well, so somewhere down here is that route, probably a good 3 feet down actually, so I'm gonna have to find it and cut it off, so hopefully we'll get that sorted in the next week or two. But whilst I'm in this corner, I wanted to address a couple of comments that regularly come up. In fact, every time I do any clearance of any sort, clearing the land or ivy or Virginia creep or whatever, you see me loading up the van and then I get the same comments, which is fine, you know, perfectly fine. And we get lots of new viewers who haven't watched previous episodes. But the 2 comments I get, let's deal with bonfires. You know, why don't you have a bonfire and just clear it all in one hit? We're not allowed bonfires in this area. In fact, the whole of France has a bonfire ban. I think some of the prefectures use their discretionary powers, and I think there are exceptions for farmers, that sort of thing, but domestic households, no bonfires allowed, and that's all year round, permanent ban. It's a nuisance to neighbours and it's not good for the environment, that sort of thing. So that's it, no bonfires allowed. And the second is composting. I've already dealt with that in episode 19, for those of you who haven't seen episode 19. So I won't go into a long answer, but last year when we arrived we started composting, and we've actually used the last of our compost this year. This year things have changed, and psychologically we're just trying to get everything gone from the place, but for a full explanation you'll have to watch, I think it was episode 19 I referred to it. So we're not composting, thank you. Well, hope you enjoyed that. As you can see, I'm flying solo again, but that's okay. Susie's fine. She's just taking a bit of a rest, and she's had this heat rash come up, which I explained, and just taking its time to leave. So she just said, look, count me out for a few days. So she's fine, and thank you for all the goodwill messages that you sent her. She really appreciates it. And a quick hedgehog update. Sad news, I'm afraid. We did everything we could, but they both passed away. The smallest and youngest of the 2 went first, and then the next day the other one. Yeah, we're very sad about that. We thought we'd give them every chance, and we took a lot of advice from the hedgehog rescue place, and the the vets, and we were in regular touch with the Hedgehog Rescue Centre, and we did everything right as far as we know. We took it in turns and did shifts, etc., to come in the evenings, and but sadly we couldn't save them, I'm afraid. And the Hedgehog Centre said to us right from the onset, sorry, that the chances are they wouldn't survive. They're too young, too small, and that's proven to be the case, I'm afraid. So sad, really, but that's nature, I guess. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little trip around the chateau, Chateau Thouarsais. I can never get that right. It's a beautiful building. It's not far from here, and if you're not into contemporary art, it's still worth a visit. It's a beautiful place, really. So I hope you enjoyed that little wander around, and we shall see you Wednesday, where normal service may be resumed, but if not, it will be some point this week. Thank you. Have a good week.
Enchanté.